Welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on CBS that has a tough time at trusting people. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge USA episode 6, and I got a lot to say about this episode, so let's just jump in where last episode left off, and that was with TJ at the perfect random algorithm getting ready to put people into teams for this week's episode. And we're not going to go through all the teams, but I do want to mention the more important teams heading into this week's episode. We have Tyson and Kira being paired up with each other, and then we have Ben and Sarah paired up with each other. And you know, right after Tyson's blindside, they're thinking they want revenge. And so this works two ways. If Ben and Sarah win into power, they're going to easily throw in Tyson. And then if Tyson wins into power, he's easily going to send in Ben and Sarah. So you think, wow, that would be really interesting if that would happen. The last notable pair to talk about is Angela and Dom, as this is a reoccurring pair. It's interesting to see that we already have a duplicate pairing from the perfect random algorithm when I'm sure we could have mixed around these 18 competitors to make 9 pairs that have not been paired up with each other. And I really enjoyed how Angela was like questioning TJ and the algorithm, and TJ got super defensive about this algorithm where he's like, it's perfect, it calculated all the pairs and you weren't gonna get paired up with anybody else until it was just impossible. I'm telling you, it was possible to put 9 teams that have never been paired up with each other together for this episode, but it's neither here nor there as everybody goes back to the challenge house. And I don't know about y'all, but I was sitting there going like, this is it. We're going to get some fights. We're going to get some tension within the warehouse. Give me a fight. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the drama. This was big from last week. Like, what is going to happen? Well, back at the challenge house, Ben and Sarah are fuming. Ben is pacing around in the bedroom, Sarah is venting to people outside, and then Tyson is having a house meeting with anybody who will listen, telling them that this is just a game, don't take anything personal. And that's it. That's all the drama for this week's episode. There is no fights. There is no confrontation between Tyson, Sarah, or Ben. Like, they don't even talk to each other this episode, at least in the edit. That's what it shows. Let's move to the next day where Cache is doing some damage control with Sarah, basically putting it all on Tyson. That Cache is like, look, I would have given you a heads up, but Tyson told me not to, so I didn't. Sarah still wants Tyson's head on a silver platter. The last thing we see before heading to this week's daily challenge is Enzo and David pumping each other, hyping each other up in the kitchen. That's when we see everybody don their challenge gear, meet up with TJ near a body of water, and TJ tells everybody that this week's daily challenge is called Containment. This is an obstacle course where teams are going to have to jump into the water off of a pier, then they're going to have to go to a ladder, climb up it, get on shipping containers, count all these different symbols, then swing to a third platform, grab your keys, drop down, swim back to the pier to then do a math problem, get a code. If your team can do all of those shenanigans the quickest, you win into power, you win your 10K to be eligible to run TJ's final, and you have the power to send in anybody into the elimination against the last place team. This was actually a relatively decent daily challenge. I thought that this one really tested all the competitors on a multitude of things. You're basically a team, but you're competing in solos with 2 different platforms, having to do your own thing, having to come up with the symbols and the math problems yourselves. I just thought that this was a well thought out, well-rounded daily challenge to test everybody solo and team-wise. To go over some highlights in this daily challenge, Kira talks about how sick she is coming into this daily challenge, and she takes a hard wipeout and is unable to complete this challenge. Her and Tyson are DQ'd. Sarah misses 1 symbol on her first go-around, so her and Ben have to do it a second time. Shannon pulls her hamstring or strains her hamstring, so her and Derek are able to finish this, but she's hurt. Enzo cannot jump whatsoever. Enzo freezes up. Like, I could show you video of it, but this still image does enough to show how much Enzo did in this daily challenge. So Enzo freezes. He is unable to even try to attempt the swing, and so they are DQ'd. They fail worse than Tyson and Kira, so they are in last place. They're going directly into the elimination. The top 3 teams from this daily challenge are Danny and Alyssa, David and Desi, and Angela and Dom. And when it comes down to it, 1 minute separates all 3 of those teams, but David and Desi are able to win this daily challenge. Let's go. I knew something was going to happen. I thought initially, after seeing both Enzo and David get confessionals, I was like, oh, they're both going into the elimination against each other. I didn't think either one of them were going to actually win the daily challenge for this episode, but yo, shout out to David and Desi. David is building up a resume better than some Big Brother players that are in the challenge main show that have played for multiple seasons. And if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. So David and Desi win into power. They win the money. They are eligible to run TJ's finals. And we go back to the challenge house for the deliberation. And if you thought the deliberation from last week resulted in nothing, I mean, we got nothing as the audience in this deliberation when it was David and Desi, Justine and Enzo talking with each other. I mean, at one point, Justine does say that, hey, let's go through all the teams and talk about who you're comfortable throwing in and who you're not comfortable throwing in. And it seems like they have a long conversation. However, as an audience member, we get none of that conversation. It's not until Justine and Enzo leave the deliberation room that David and Desi throw out 3 teams' names as possible targets to be sent into this week's elimination. We have Denzo throwing out Leo and Kayla as the very safe option. Then we have Desi bringing up Shannon and Derek as an easy option that if either one of them left, Desi would be totally cool with that. And then David throws out, I wouldn't mind throwing in Kyland and Cache or even throwing in Tyson. I mean, that could be good for my game. He talks about how Kyland has won a ton of stuff and then Cache, he doesn't want to be partnered up with her later on in the challenge season. So I honestly thought that possibly Kyland and Cache could be thrown in, but they had gotten minimal screen time throughout the whole episode, so that wasn't really going to work out. We move to the rest of the house to see what everybody else is doing. Kira is still sick, but she's trying to downplay her sickness, so she doesn't become a target and be thrown into the elimination with Tyson, and Shannon is doing the same thing with her hamstring injury. It is hurting her, it is sore, but she is trying to figure out a way to downplay it and hopes that her and Derek will not be called into the elimination. Speaking of elimination, we move to the elimination where we see that the challenge has bought tires in bulk. Once at the arena, TJ calls for Justine and Enzo to join him on the arena floor, and then he turns the attention over to Desi and David, asking who they want to send into the elimination against Justine and Enzo, and they call out Derek and Shannon. Alyssa is pissed because that's her number one, and she has no backup plans, it seems like. Anyways, TJ tells them that there are 120 tires in this arena. Transfer your 60 tires from one end of the arena to the other. The quickest team to do this would win. Everybody gets dressed up. Everybody is ready to go. And that's when TJ says, not so fast. I have some note cards, and we're going to be playing this elimination called Spelling Ebe. And I'm going to give you some words to spell backwards. If you can't do it, then your opponents get an advantage of getting 5 tires off their total. What is this elimination? Like, seriously, you cannot tell me that this whole spelling portion at the beginning wasn't like an afterthought of like, well, this doesn't seem too hard, so we're gonna have to figure out something. What if we make them spell 4 words backwards? What about that? According to the edit, Justine was the only person to misspell their word backwards, which is cynical. She put an S instead of a C, while Derek and Shannon were able to spell shovel and goggles backwards correctly, so they got 5 tires off their total. So, heading into this elimination, we have Justine and Enzo having to transfer 60 tires, and Derek and Shannon having to transfer 55 tires. This elimination was something. I mean, the name is weird, as the bulk of this elimination was all about tires, and normally the challenge would try to do something where it like marries the both ideas or both phases into the title, but they decided to just put all their effort into spelling Ebe when majority of this elimination was moving tires. And I don't know about you, but it's not thrilling to see people just moving tires 20 feet from one area to the next, or 50 feet, however long it was. It wasn't that far of a walk. it just, to me, this was less of an elimination on the challenge and internship at Michelin or Jiffy Lube. TJ was really getting into it. I guess it's something that you had to be there in the arena to feel, because I did not feel excitement or thrilled during this elimination. I mean, at least it was sort of close at the end. It all came down to stacking and your stacking abilities, as Derek and Shannon's tires kept on falling over. They were stacking them tall instead of spreading them out like Justine and Enzo did. So when it came down to it, where they transferred all their tires to their side, they had to start picking them up and piling up and trying to stack them again, while Justine and Enzo just stacked them right from the beginning, and they all stayed once Justine put the final tire on. So that means that Derek and Shannon are eliminated from the game, and Justine and Enzo got to stay in the game. I'm happy that Justine and Enzo won. I'm more so happy that Justine won, as she is killing this game as of right now. And Shannon, I think she's a big personality. She was heavily under-edited since the first episode, when she was thought of possibly being sent into the elimination. After that, she was barely shown on the show until this moment, and Derek's storyline was mainly Alyssa's storyline, which was revenge on the cookout. And once Xavier was eliminated, it seemed like both of them didn't get a storyline. So with Derek leaving, maybe Alyssa will get more screen time, as she is pissed off with David. We're gonna have to wait and see how the algorithm pairs everybody up and who is what and who is with whom. If you saw the preview, we got to see some of the pairings already for the what looks to be Junkyard Derby daily challenge, which could be very fun and exciting. But that is it for this week's challenge review and recap. What did you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What did you think about the aftermath of Tyson's blindside on Sarah? What did you think about the pairing with the algorithm? What did you think about the daily challenge? And what did you think about the elimination? Did I undersell it? Did you think it was really, really good? Let me know why you thought it was good down in the comment section below. I read all the comments, I reply to all the comments, and I would like to get somebody else's perspective if you really enjoyed this elimination, because it was just not hitting it for me. But that is it for this review and recap. Thank you so much for watching, and I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who is watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge USA content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.